Hello, gang. I'm Dad.
And I'm Daughter. And this is Dad&Daughter Kine Tings. Aloha.
Yeah.
Happy to have Khalil on our last episode. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out. This is episode 4. Sorry for the delay. That said, I was a little bit busy.
A little bit
busy. But first we want to start off this episode, like every episode, and mahalo Kākoʻa Mental Health Collective. We are here once again. If you don't know what Kākoʻa Mental Health Collective is, it's basically a space where Native Hawaiian therapists as well as Pacific Islander therapists can come and focus their attention on Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islander people here in Hawaii and in the diaspora, enaʻs. And their goal is to change the narrative about mental health in our local communities and make it more normalized. And so you can find my dad through their directory, through their site.
Yeah, HawaiiMentalHealthCollective.com. And it's a directory. It's a directory where therapists like myself and those that have an interest in serving our people, also being a part of that growth and change. Right now we're gathering therapists of ancestry, but not only that, but actually just have the love to give back and serve our people here in our state, across the world, right? And then our diaspora and those that live on our continent. But it's a directory where, my awesome friend has created, Noilani Sangapulatele has created, that you can go and find people like us, look like us, talk like us, serve people like us.
I think that's so important to find people, because my therapist actually, I got through Auntie Noi.
Through Kākoʻa?
Yeah, through Kākoʻa Collective, because she does this thing called like theater therapy, in a way. Drama therapy. And she was like, I think this will work. She told my dad, I think this will work for Kaena. And lo and behold, it does.
So we get to film again today here.
Yes.
It was great in our last episode that you guys watched with Kale here. But back to me and you, babe.
Back to me and you.
Yeah?
Yes.
So what's on our agenda today? We had a lot of things happen, since right, recording our last one. And yeah, Kaena, I'll talk about Kaena because she was definitely busy with Rent. If you were able to watch it, awesome. Mom couldn't get enough of it.
No,
right?
she still the other night was watching videos on her phone.
Yeah.
They took illegal videos, like full length.
Yeah.
But for themselves.
Yeah, not to be posted. Yeah, we were just thrilled, right, about it all. And thank you, mahalo for everyone that coming to watch it. Baba Tavares and Kaipo, Durua. They did a tremendous job, and all the actors and actresses that were on there. But she was, it was a push for that week.
My agent was the choreographer.
Okay. Mahalo to Aubrey too, and she took some time to recover, and then getting back into school swing, and we're heading through the finals, right, for a semester.
Yes, girl.
Right. So. We were able to, again, make some time and get this one out. So it might be a quick transition between 3 and 4.
And you know what? You love that.
Yeah. So don't forget, right? So comment, subscribe on our YouTube channel, our IG.
Instagram, Didi Kine Tings.
Didi Kine Tings. But yeah, leave comments, leave questions, and then even if things as far as suggestions or thoughts that's needed, I'll go ahead and go answer them. I was thinking of doing like a live on our YouTube channel. And
let us know what you guys are looking for, what you guys want from us, and what you guys are feeling, and what you guys want to hear about or talk about.
Yeah.
Today, we're actually going to talk about me.
Look, this is the kind how you grab it for our girls out there. This is how you grab your dad's.
This is how you can wear your dad's
aloha shirt and just make one outfit out of When I seen her after, I was like, hey, my shirt.
Hey, sorry. I saw the green and I had to match. So I went and I went boom.
Yeah, boom, boom.
2X, cowboy boots.
Yeah, smoke kind. Boy's finest. Paulele.
Mahalo.
Awesome.
Yeah, just how all the things that I've been going through relate to what you've gone through, because I don't know that we really talked about. We talked about your guys' college years and just like you and mom meeting, but some of that I think can be really helpful. For guidance and advice.
There's some things even within for my clients and stuff that kind of come up, transitions.
Yeah.
For our young adults, right? Transitions. Yeah. Okay. We talked in our last one. So, we can expand a little, I guess, but adulting kind things might be happening and surrounding, right? Through incidences that kind of happen, right? And how do we adjust and flow? Right?
Yeah. I think what I'm learning, and we can get into it, but sometimes what happens, the lesson is things just happen. Sometimes things just happen, and your lesson learned and the lesson that you can take away from it is how you handle it and how you handle it afterwards, how you are. If you want to get into it, just kind of got into an accident recently. It was pretty bad, but I'm very grateful that I'm okay. Everyone else is okay.
Yeah, the car looks worse than it kind of
car looks worse than it, yeah.
Now totaled. It was a second-hand car, but yes, thankfully, kind of was okay. And of course, calling us, at that time of the night and making sure that, she was safe, and thankful for our good friend picking her up to bring her home. And for the others in the other cars that were, it was unfortunate where, like traffic and construction, right, kind of stuff going into merging, and, things come to a halt, and fortunately, she wasn't able to stop in time and avoid it, but avoid it as much as possible. So, kind of it happens. Now we gotta adjust down to one car or whatever.
Yeah.
But you know what it is now, right? Is we're kind of looking into that transition for Anna to kind of get her own vehicle. She had Hina before.
I had Hina.
As she got through high school, and
this is my first big girl purchase.
Yeah, she didn't purchase. We kind of purchased that for her in Christmas, right?
I think.
But yeah.
Yeah. What I kind of took out of this situation was, because I think that everything happens for a reason. I think we talked about this, and that's the way that you guys have raised us, and that we have to make our own decisions, but honestly, things happen for a reason, and our gods, our ancestors, everybody's guiding us, and our path is our path. And sometimes, and I do believe this, like I think this is a point in my life where I'm being shown that I have to take some new steps, and that because of this I get to take steps forward, and that's my mindset about what happened and about where I'm going, because I feel really good about what I'm doing right now. But one of my good friends, Bubba, actually told me that sometimes it's not about what happens, but it's about, like I said, how you handle things, how you handle yourself, how you handle it. And I'm very grateful for my parents who balance each other out. I think Dad is very calm in situations that are very hectic. So how can we be helpful for one another, in those times? I think that comes with who you are, knowing the other person, especially in family situations, and how to navigate certain relationships and certain things that happen in your life. But honestly, I think I'm grateful for the fact that I'm okay and that everyone else is okay, and I'm excited for my big girl things coming up. Yeah.
And I can be excited too, like to help you and find something like that. But also, okay, so we talked about it, and I had shared, right, about her age. Also on the freeway, I ended up rear-ending a person where I had my Integra at the time. It's Acura Integra, the sporty car that I used to surf and whatever.
Ooh, fun.
But nice car. Mom and I had. We had the car.
Love it.
anyway, I had to get a loan to fix it and fix the other car in a sense. And so, unbeknownst, right? It was a small personal loan that I took out from the credit union, and unbeknownst to that situation, it helped. So when we graduated from high school, I was already accumulating and building credit under my name, which I had no idea. we had no idea at the time, right? Like families, talk to your kids about credit. You know,
financial literacy.
You know, just in general, like we don't talk enough about that, especially for our Polynesian people. We don't talk about what that is. Money, like money. People have their relationships with money, and so you got to kind of discover that even when you get into a relationship with somebody, what's each other's relationship with money? I like to spend, or I like to save, or I'm thinking about future, or I'm thinking about now.
Yeah.
Right. That's big things to talk about and share with your children. Like we had experiences with taxes, unfortunately not as adults but as children, seeing these things. We had no idea. Our parents never shared nothing. You know, all it was like, we got more, and then next thing you know, this happens, so we gotta move here, and then all of a sudden then we're renting, and we no can do this and no can do that. I had no idea. All it was is like, I don't want to do that. You know, and so sometimes we hide, adults, right, hide things from children that maybe shame, or it's like, they don't need.
You don't think they can handle it.
Or they don't know what they're talking about. But everybody talks about exposure. If we're talking about exposure, and how that works athletically, right? Everybody is like taking trips to mainland, and we gotta expose our kids for volleyball, for football, for all this kind of stuff. But we're not exposing them to real life stuff.
Yeah.
And that's huge. Like, so, like this, right? I was sharing with Kaena, is like, Kaena has built her own nest, right? Of money. Still, but we gotta educate each other. And I said, no, we're not going to use your money. We're going to see how we use other people's money.
Yeah.
But you have a foundation to still accumulate something, right? So you go maybe out of your entity you borrow from, or you borrow from the bank through the entity or through her own self that she's gonna then accumulate. And we're not talking about brand new, or we're not talking about something extravagant, right? But even something that's functional, that maybe a little style, right?
I love style.
You know, gotta have AC, right?
Yes.
Gotta have AC, gotta work.
I think when you talk about speaking to your kids about things that maybe have been taboo that you didn't talk about with your parents as a parent, it's very important to me, because my parents were always super transparent about what was going on, about what they were doing, about money, about where we were, and things about relationships, boys and girls, like that, all that kind of stuff. And it allowed us to have conversations that weren't so big or daunting, because we were already having those conversations. And I took that into account when it came to my siblings, because especially in relationships, I wanted them to talk to me about their relationships, because my brother and I are 4 years apart. My sister and I, as you met last episode, are 2 years apart. And I wanted to make sure that they were coming to me, because I want to know about their life, right? And as a parent, as somebody who loves somebody, you want to know about the other person's life. And that comes from you sharing first. Sometimes it helps. Yeah, it helps for someone to feel safe to share, someone to feel comfortable in sharing, if you are also sharing, if you're sharing first. I'm sharing my experience, and that opens the door for then when something happens, for the other person to share what happened to them.
I think too, right? Oftentimes as parents just like, my teenager, right? She or he don't tell me nothing or whatever. But that's a key point I never really thought of, is unless we open the door early to start sharing, and the part of the problem too is, right, is fear-based.
Yeah.
Parents don't want to let their guard down, show vulnerability, show their mistakes, and so on and so forth. But you know, that's being real, right? It's vulnerability it comes from a very strong place, because without that, you know, it portrays confidence. It portrays a sense of being that is stronger than what is at that moment in time, right?
You're not bigger than what's happening around you.
Right.
And you can have a mindset that you can always get through something, and you can have a mindset that of the knowing, you can be of the knowing that you're more than that. But sometimes things are just happening around you, and to be able to share where you are in that moment and be vulnerable is actually not a weakness, as you're saying, it's a strength.
Yeah, strength, definitely. And I was coming up with a question. It's like, if, you know, we have questions, viewers out there and our fans and whatnot, and it's like, hey, Raj, how do we share it? I think that's kind of just already kind of answered it, is we have to be the example as adults and parents, is to share, and then open up that door early. And if it's never too late either, right? It's never too late to do it. To do it.
And Kate, do you have more?
No, go ahead.
And I think sharing not just what's happening that is possibly bad, quote unquote, or something that makes you feel bad, or something that happened that is negative, but sharing the positives as well. Because the other day I was on the phone with my sister, and it is true, when you are sharing something, and when people are sharing negative things, you want to feel like, oh, you can relate to that. But sometimes sharing what is happening positively in your life can affect the other person and can show them that, oh, there is light, you know? And so sharing what great things happen to you, because we want to know. As a child, we want to know what are some of the most amazing trips my parents have taken. Where was your favorite trip? You were with elephants in Thailand, you know what I mean? Like, I want to know that.
Thailand was awesome.
Thailand seems awesome.
I never thought in my whole world. I was nervous as heck going over there. I was like, man, this is like third world, like this is like, you know, I was like, holy crackarolies. Way out. But it was tremendous. Tremendous. I can't wait to actually go again. We went in 2007.
I'm ready to go. So sharing those experiences with your kids, with people you love, allows them, especially as a parent, when you're telling your kid, it opens their eyes. I think because we were traveling, we already saw that, I guess, but even hearing that, because I'm a little bit older and I'm actually going to Aotearoa this summer to perform some hula, you know.
You guys saw the last episode on Rescue?
On Rescue High Surf,
oh,
finale
man.
episode. I danced to hula, and that was very important to me as a Hawaiian, a Kanaka, to share my culture. And it being a representation, an actual representation of who we are.
Yeah, and the beautiful halal behind there. Our friends Mandy and Shannon. What's the
Namaka Studios.
Yeah.
Mahalo nui. They're the best. They're posting all about it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, we're kind of going like this.
Oh yeah, but I love it. This is how it is. This is like who we are, and so remember to share and to be vulnerable, because I think, even in relationships, a little bit of a tangent, I think it's important to know, going back to your relationship with money, because if you are a saver and you're with somebody whose their love language is gifts, maybe that might not work. Maybe maybe they really want all of these gifts and whatnot, and maybe that's just not in your wheelhouse of a part of your goals. And if that is something that you can recognize early on, then you know that's not your path, that's not where you're supposed to go. You can lead yourself to the right path.
Yeah. Did we talk about love languages in February?
We did a little bit, but we can talk a little bit more about it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But what is your love language, Dad?
No.
You can share.
I think it's, we kind of go this a long time in. So you guys don't know, right? So five love languages. Mm-hmm. So acts of service, gifts, words of affirmation,
quality time,
touch.
And touch, physical touch.
You know, of course, there's times, right, of different things, and I do believe my things is as acts of service because that's what I portray and I do. Mom's definitely like touch and quality time, but that's the relationship. Like we kind of just coming back to what we talked about. Just in this forum is about relationships and understanding your relationships with things and others. So, you know, you talk about that. So understanding yourself is a big part of, you know, relationships in general. And if you get into, and if we talk into getting into a relationship with a partner or a significant other, it's, you may not know, and most don't know much about themselves early on, but together to grow and then learn about yourself and the other person. Not necessarily you cannot make that work if your love language is saving and the other
definitely not,
but it'll create different tensions, or you create different challenges that together, if other things are stronger, you can work ways around it, right? It's not just like monetary or material things. You can stuff that you can make
for sure,
or all of those things. But coming back to as well as the relationship with money, what is your feeling about now? Possibly what Dad said about possibly like going after and looking after a loan. What's some of the questions that come up for you? What is it that now you might look at as far as strategically, how do we move into something that is a step, a transition, and something that you may not create too big of a challenge or big of a hole for yourself, right? What are some of his thoughts about that?
So my base relationship with money is kind of a weird one. I feel like in my own mind, I always feel like I need to save. And I'm a good saver.
Yeah, you're a saver.
I'm a saver for sure. And so I think my mindset.
I think the three of you actually are savers at heart.
At core.
The core.
But my brother and sister love to get new things. Which
other people's money. They use other people's
and,
money.
And they learned early on. They
use other people's.
And now.
No, not that. Mama.
Okay,
I pointed to Mama.
Now I'm being nice and like I offer it, but but definitely those two. But that's a great lesson to know. I think I am the oldest, and so I think I kind of took that quote unquote burden that I have to do it on my own, and I have to figure it out, and I have to I just have to get it, you know? And so one of my things is that for a little bit was I can't ask for help. And so that has been something that I've been working on, that I'm more accustomed to now, because especially in my work life, I can ask for help because people want to help me. I know that I'm valuable and what I have to offer is valuable. So now other people will, and I'm allowing myself to see that and accept that. So that goes to say I had to change my mindset, and I'm still changing my mindset about money, and from a mindset of lack to a mindset of abundance.
But that's a big thing. You know, the thing too, right, is you're the oldest, so you're coming into those things where, you know, okay, you first was presented to you, right, you're responsible for half of your college tuition. And then other things that Mom and I put responsibility on for you. So now you're even contributing for rent right now at home. You know, even some bigger purchases was, you know, to pay back here or there. But like you're coming, my thing is that you're coming into it first. So you don't have, like, Kale and Kaina can watch you as you go into this stuff. And then also it's not like, oh, she never do them, so how come I gotta do them, right?
She's
like,
doing it.
Right? But whether or not, like, that's some of the things, like, so you're not privileged to see how to navigate it, right?
Totally.
So you've been definitely a trooper in that point to receive and then kind of accept it in a sense without much resistance. But then, okay, what do I have to do? You know?
And I think, thank you for saying that. I think for a bit, I was a little bit like not wanting to see it. And also, if you guys haven't checked out our last episode, we talk about college, and we talk about paying for half of my tuition, which all of my siblings and I have to do, and that was something that my mom and dad talked about with us. So go back to that episode 3.
Yeah.
If you guys
and what it was is
that.
paying it through getting their putting the work into getting their scholarships, and that which then also included getting good grades so that you could qualify for certain scholarships, so on and so forth.
However, right? You could get half of it,
and not necessarily paying out of your own pocket. So going back to the same thing, like you're not paying out of pocket. Like we're utilizing the resources to then see what we can, you know.
I think I have to sit with that, but for me, honestly, it's this switching of a mindset from lack to abundance.
Yeah.
And
that's huge.
That's huge.
That's a different thing if you want to expand on, but abundance thinking, forward thinking, optimism, right? Like all those things that just promote growth. Yeah, that you can ask yourself at times, like, where am I sitting with this? Where am I with this? Like, am I coming from scarcity or abundance?
Totally.
Right?
And I think you can live in lack and live in abundance in many areas of your life. Like Dad is saying, if you're in an area in your family, are you coming from a place of lack and scarcity or abundance with quality time? You know, are you thinking that you have no time and that you need to spend it doing this, that, and the other? Or can you spend it with your granny? You know, can I spend it with my granny? Can I sit down and just for 20 minutes and knowing that I have more time, right?
Yeah.
Living in abundance is one of the highest frequencies, and there are things that I've learned along the way about, like, you know, these money frequencies. If you don't know anything about that, I actually just explained it to one of these to a girl that I met. But 528 frequency is one of my favorite frequencies, just because it hits my brain really well. But there are a lot of different frequencies that can help your body feel at ease.
Expand on that. What is that?
So frequencies, it's like noise. So we're all living on different frequencies. And so just for an example, when I explained why I broke up with my last boyfriend, I explained that we're just not on the same frequency. We don't like see things. We're like not, and one is not higher or lower than the other, but it's just different, right?
Or right or wrong.
Nor right or wrong.
Yeah.
It's just different. And so different frequencies levels can help your body in different ways. That kind of goes along with like your root chakras and where your body is. And so 528 is a frequency. There's like a frequency about like love, and that you can listen to.
Where you obtain this frequency?
To manifest. Spotify, YouTube. It's just noise. It's a
that you
level,
listen to?
You listen to it.
Oh.
Yeah. So
I never know that.
Yeah. So you can listen to different frequencies.
Learn something new every day.
Come on. We're in abundance. What's growth? What am I learning? There are different frequencies that some people relate to more, because like one of my friends used to listen to one that was like super low, and it was too low for me. That made me like eerie. There are some that are too high for me to hear, because it makes me feel like I'm getting smashed by 2 car doors or something. But so finding what your frequency is can help you kind of calm down and self-regulate. I think self-regulating is really important to
For sure.
even getting into a new relationship or being in your family. If you are always relying on somebody else to handle your emotions, then you're not self-regulating. And being able to do that is another step of knowing yourself and knowing who you are. And that takes work, that takes practice, and of course you can always lean on people, but knowing who you are, allowing yourself to get sad, get mad, and then knowing how to take care of yourself. That kind of goes into inner child, which we can get into in another episode.
Okay.
I think that's great.
Okay.
If you guys want to know about your inner child, how you can, as a human now that is an adult, how you can tend to your inner child, and if you're getting mad at something, is that you or is that your inner child? You know, that's like a whole other thing. But
and that can come from programs, what you're shaped and modeled into because of those things. I mean, our experiences, all these things. Like there are reasons why we behave towards certain things. Yeah. Right. Experiences throughout life. People. Right. The money. Purchases, success and failure. Like there are things of why we respond to it, and you know we always will talk a little bit about it. But you know, again, you can always ask us. Look on our own personal Instagrams or on Daddy Kine Tings, DD Kine Tings. DD Kine Tings. My bad. So, but you can post those things because. It gives us our opportunity to share a little bit in depth, and like anything, like I just learned something right now about it. My personal being will be looking at it from a different point of view, but we have access to so many things right now in our world, right? And a lot of things can be resistant. Like we can create resistance of certain things, and some of it, right, is the move towards a lot of electronics, maybe even looking at artificial intelligence, the things of our generations being and having the entitlement or immediate gratification. Yeah. You know what? And I just came across this the other day. It was like, what we may have experienced may not be the same, is not the same towards what they experience and what they're going through in the generations next beyond past them. So we cannot, as adults and parents, respond the same way that others before us responded to us. You know, and in the way of delivery, and so I was doing some professional development and looking at it and watching this training, and it was talking from therapists on how to look at it and how to bring that up and bring that out of whether it be adolescent clients or adult clients, right? But we have to know we have to discover a different way how to communicate to their needs, not what we think their needs should be. You know, or frequency. We have to understand their frequency, understand their, right? And sometimes there's resistance to that as parents, and be like, no, because I said this is what it's supposed to be. Like, I don't care, right? However, right, to give quality, to build quality conversation delivery. I was thinking about therapist side of things, but anyway, but as a parent, to really get in touch with that, with our children and the next generations to come, is to understand where they're coming from. You know,
I think we talk about this a lot, and I think awareness is one of the key points in that.
Oh hell yeah.
Being aware being aware of your child and allowing yourself to see them fully, because I think when you bring a child into this world, that's a big responsibility, and to be able to raise them and to be on their own, that's a skill, I think, and for them to know that they can do it on their own. And because I can do it on my own. I want my parents to be there, which is what you want, I feel like, more than somebody to need you. And I think that comes with growth, though, in somebody who has a child.
From both sides,
both sides. I don't know, because I don't have a child. But what I've learned and what I can see, what I'm talking about is that awareness from a parent to see your child. See them as who they are, not who you maybe want them to be. And I think when you talk about I'm saying this, I say goes. Again, about the sharing, and you are not losing your power by sharing why you think something is correct.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, as far as if parents are listening to this, or even from my generation or before, is that there are boundaries to things.
Always.
Right? There are boundaries that, you know, as long as, right, we're providing, you're in this home, you get my car, I'm paying for insurance. There are boundaries and things that we can express, right?
We can expect.
For our children to expect to do, right? However, there are then the opportunity to hear them out for different things, right?
And you don't have to listen.
Well, you can listen. You don't have to agree.
You don't have to agree.
Yeah.
I think that was something that my parents instilled in us very early on, is that if we have an opinion, they will listen to us. It doesn't mean that they'll agree or that they'll give in to what I'm saying and what I'm, if I want to go to a party, I can say why I really want to go. Actually, my character in Rescue High Surf, her name is Ocean, she really wants to go on a trip with her boyfriend on a surf trip. I'm explaining. That doesn't mean that my parents are going to let me go, but they're hearing me out.
It's so funny. Like you came with the PowerPoint. And all that stuff, and it was so funny. Like how it's something we probably would have done as well. Like you show me why and what's the evidence of why you should go. And you know, your dad in the show, he said, okay, I get it, but no, right? Still no.
I get it.
And I understand, and thank you for what you did, whatever. But you know, that kind of stuff, and oh man, you know, if anything comes out in this too, man, we gotta promote for season 2 for Rescue
High Surf.
High Surf for sure, man. We gotta get that Fox to pick it up and
keep me in a job.
Yeah, you and others,
and
right?
So
all our local actors, producers, production, film,
Crafty,
all
PAs, ADs.
But no, I think coming back to what we're talking about. So, you know, I asked too, like, what are some of your thoughts about moving forward and possibly getting a loan, possibly having to have this adulting motion happening? What are your thoughts about that?
My thoughts are very positive recently. Because I switched that mindset, and I'm actively doing that as I think about them, because I know that I am in the right position and I get to do this and move forward to then see what's next. You know, I think these are stepping stones and these are learning lessons into bigger things that I'm going to have to deal with in the future. And I know that I have my parents' help. But it is scary. It is scary. I'm going to be 22 this year. I'm only 21. But Adulting Kine Tings. And I'm honestly grateful. I'm grateful to be doing it.
Well, and there's sometimes we don't have the option to choose to do certain things, right?
Totally.
There are individuals, there are others out there for sure. You'd be like, I have to, right? I have to. The funny thing was, Leo and I were already mentioning it to her about possibly purchasing her own car or a newer car. I mean, basically, it was a 2007 Lexus ES that we bought secondhand, as well. That was utilized from the children and so on and so forth. And so, we got our money's worth out of it and whatnot, but it was coming to a point where we were noticing things that we have to service or change, and it just
made sense.
We weren't gonna necessarily find the value of upkeeping, right, and whatnot. Yeah. So it came to that, right, and then boom, it's not like that we put the universe into action to have an accident in that sense. Of course not, but it kind of fast forward the decision making in order to do so. So you still, even now we don't have wheels, it's not that you have to get something that's detrimental to what you're doing, right? Like, of course, you get a drive dad's truck here and there. It's a big kalaka, right?
I love that kalaka.
No more AC or nothing, but it is what it is, right? You know, like, but you don't have to, right? But but you should be working towards, right?
Yeah, and that's what I think I'm grateful for. It's very important to know, if you're listening to this, it's not always this case, right? And a lot of people are going through different things where some people have to do something because for survival. I fortunately have the opportunity and the gift of having parents who are supporting me, not just in like monetary things, but just emotionally, and they're there physically for me. But for sure, my life is being a little fast forwarded because I think I decided that I decided that I'm ready and that I'm deserving of the things that come my way.
Yeah, nice.
And because of that, what is meant for me is coming to me. What is not meant for me is leaving me. And being able to let go and let in is something that I'm really allowing currently in my life.
Yeah, and that's huge because if you think about it, right, even for you out there that we have so many boxes and things, right, saved up because we don't want to release or let go of. You know, it is difficult for many to release. You know, to walk away from, and you know, things, right?
People. Even. Bring
us memories, right? And these experiences of what we live by through different material things or pictures, you know, now the digital form is so much better, like we can, but there's albums, people have albums and albums of things, but or baby blankets and all these things growing up from them for throughout their 13 years of school plus preschool. But releasing is, right, we only have a capacity to have and to hold on to so many things, and so that's a thing to kind of leave you guys with today, is to look at like what can we make room for in our lives. What can we make room in our lives to bring in what we've been hoping for, wishing for, but most of all what you want and what you want to thrive for.
What you know that you deserve, but you're not letting in. Yeah,
we're all deserving. In every way and facet, we're all deserving for relationships,
money,
love,
friendships,
all of that.
We're all deserving.
Yeah, no matter where you are at this moment in time, we leave you with that from Kana and I, to that you are deserving, to the lowest of low that you could possibly be in at this moment in time, that you're deserving of life in itself, and the journey that take a walk through, you know, and experience. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, for sure.
Mahalo anui.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave it there.
Yeah, for sure. But continue to like us, right, and follow us, subscribe, hit the subscribe button below, comment, reach out to us if you are looking for Kaena's age. If you're looking for somebody for support, hit her up.
Hit me up.
If you're looking to support, you know, as a parent, or as even for an adolescent or whatnot, hit me up.
Guide,
everybody's we here to help and service our Kanaka for sure. But yes, with love from us, right? I'm Dad.
And I'm Daughter. And this is
Dad&Daughter Kine Tings. Awiho, gangi.
Uiho. Mahalo anui. Oh. It's good. Mom said,
who's the angel out there?
Great job, guys.
You put that could be in the thing in the credits.